Hello, hi, welcome to the Poetry Goes Viral reading series. We're live on Facebook. Say hello to everyone. Hello.
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 Our reading series, we started in March of this year. We wanted to bring in some folks who had connections to the Carolinas, whether they were born here, whether they lived here, whether they used to live here, whether they work here, maybe they passed through and used the restroom once, whatever it is, we want to, feature them on Carolina Poets. And especially because, right now we can't be out on the road doing shows. There's a lot of opportunities that have been missed this year. So hopefully this is an opportunity for us to hear from some amazing poets as well as connect to one another. So we have 3 poets for you this evening. We have reading first, Loli. Say hello, hello.
Hello, everybody.
That's going to be followed by Jesus.
Hi, you all.
And coming all the way from Rochester, Minnesota, Danny.
Danny. Hi. Oh, I'm Danny.
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Hello.
So we are about to jump into it. Before we jump in, I want to kind of make a quick announcement. We have a really exciting event coming up. We have teamed up to do a collaborative event with the Freeverse Festival, which is the Charleston Poetry Festival. That is going to be taking place on October 13th. We took 8 readers from our past readings with Poetry Goes Viral on Carolina Poets, and we're bringing them all together on one night at 7 p.m. So it's going to be on a Tuesday rather than a Thursday. We usually do them on Thursdays, but we're going to do a Tuesday show. That's part of a wider series. If you want to check out the events for the Freeverse Festival, there's going to be open mics. There's going to be some virtual kickbacks. We're all just going to get drunk and read poetry to each other, which is, sometimes just the way you got to do it. There's going to be a virtual dance event. We always do something with movement and poetry, so I'm especially excited for that. And we have 2 really exciting featured poets. On that Thursday night, we're going to have Beth Ann Fennelly read. She's going to be reading at the Charleston Music Hall. And on Friday night, that's going to be October 16th, we're going to be having Asia Monet read. So look forward to that. I am super excited for all of the readings. Let me wait a little while. You probably also noticed this is our, one of our weeks with our new kind of service. We're using the StreamYard service, which I'm really excited about. So this is just going to be one video, and that video is going to be available on both YouTube and Facebook via the Wit End YouTube series and the Carolina Poets Facebook page. Hello. Happy wedding anniversary, John Storino. Y'all can see the little comments there. So people are going to be commenting throughout the event. Something about the Carolinas. Carolinas have always been home to some of the most talented and thoughtful writers, I think. And a lot of people have kind of blessed South and North Carolina. So I'm super excited to share just a sampling every single week from these poets. Also, thank you to Andrew K. Clark and Kimberly Sims Gibbs, who are the stars of the show. They helped curate this event. I'm incredibly disorganized, so I couldn't do it without them kind of actually doing all of the hard work. I'm going to introduce you to the first poet of the evening. Her name is Loli Molina Muñoz. She's a Spanish teacher in Columbia, South Carolina, who is pursuing a PhD in comparative literature. Her poetry has appeared in different Spanish publications and also in Label Me Latin and the Jasper Project magazine. I know that we've also appeared together in Fall Lines. Yeah. She's an absolutely incredible poet. In 2019, she published an essay on gender and sex identity in feminist science fiction as part of an anthology called Infiltratus. This anthology is nominated as the Best Essays Anthology by the Spanish Science Fiction Society Awards. So that's super exciting. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about herself. Please welcome to the stage. Put your hands together for Loli.
Hey, hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm so happy to be here. Okay, I've been gathering a few of my poems. As Derek said, I'm working at this moment. I'm working on trying to write a dissertation that is taking most of my time. So I haven't written much poetry lately because I have enough with the dissertation. So I gathered some of my poems, and I hope you like them. I started writing in English, poems in English, like about probably 4 years ago, something like that I tried. And I'm going to start with the poem that became my opening poem because it says a lot about me trying to read and try to be in this country, having an accent. So this poem is called I Have an Accent. I have an accent. When I go to the grocery store and they ask me if I found everything I needed, I answer yes. They say, you have an accent. This accent is my grandmother sewing for the rich and waiting for my grandfather to return from Venezuela. When I order a tall decaf coffee with milk and I spell my name, they say, you have an accent. This accent is my mother's cleaning houses so I could fly abroad and improve my English. When I read a poem and your faces change trying to understand what I say, and you think, she has an accent. This accent is the bread hands delivering the fruit that I will place in your still empty basket. So I'm going to continue with a poem. I like to write poems after I read the news or there is a piece of news that shocks me at some point. And I wrote this poem putting two news together. One of the news were I think like Wall Street men were complaining like they didn't know what they were going to do with women now because women are all the time saying that they don't want to they want to be harassed. And I was like, poor Wall Street men. And at the same time, I read the news of a teacher in Spain who moved to a different city and who was kidnapped, raped, and killed by her neighbor. So those two news in the same week were like, this is too much together. I don't know why these men are complaining so much. So I wrote this poem that is called Wall Street Men. I have read on the news that Wall Street men are concerned about how to treat women. Some say they won't share space, coffee, table, or plane. Others believe romance will be over. Love will become extinct. Sex requires a contract. I have read on the news that Laura went for a run after work, right before the sun turns red. And she ended raped by her neighbor, and she was found murdered behind the bushes. I have read on the news that today is going to be sunny, but cold. Cold, but full of traces from planes in the sky and lonely, uneasy Wall Street men. Well, I'm going to continue with another poem that was also dedicated to a woman. And this happened in 2017. She was a very important judge in New York, and she was found dead in Hudson River. And to me, those news were like, that news was like shocking because it looked like nothing had happened to her. And a few days later, we didn't know anything about her. This poem starts with a poem that I really admire, that is Monifa Lemon's type on Facebook that day. She wrote, she was stressed, so she jumped into the Hudson River. Hudson. That is normal. You're a Black woman and your hair looks grayer than yesterday. But only you know, but only you hear. That is so normal. You're a Muslim Black woman and your shoes are too tight from heel to temple. But only you know, but only you hear. That is so very normal. You're a Muslim Black Judge woman and the gown is a heavy chain that you drag everywhere. But only you know, but only you hear. That is the most normal. You're a Muslim Black Judge woman on the highest court of New York, and life chokes, and you jump into the river, and you're found floating on international newspapers. And next day, the void. But only you know, but only you hear. That is normal. That is the most normal. My next poem, and I think with this I finish with the poems dedicated to women, is one that is called Mother. And it's obviously, I wrote it thinking about my mother, especially when you are away from your home or you're away from your family, you go through very hard times, and being away from them can be really tough sometimes. So this is my poem, Mother. Mother sits on the sofa, playing Candy Crush on her iPad, and signing her mother's name like a sacred psalm that keeps her alive. Millions of waves away from me. She knows that time passes and the birds are born again on my front porch. 3 squalid red cardinals that won't scar forever, but it will for today. Mother assembles her sore bones and muscles, releasing a long-distance painful sound that wounds me like an arrow. Millions of ways away from me. I know she cooked gazpacho, while the cat asked for some attention. Those black and white paws that used to touch my face in the mornings, but they didn't today. Mother and I cut the distance with some laughs and a bunch of untold secrets. Millions of ways away from each other. Until the ocean between us dries up. Until our voices fade away. That's a tough poem for me, so it's hard even to read it. Now I'm going to continue with a poem that it took me a lot of time to write, and I don't know if the idea I'm trying to transmit or with this poem finally reaches to people, but it's titled, God Waits in My Backyard. God waits in my backyard, patient and rested, for me to go and sit by his side. I have been a good person, he says, but I don't believe him, and that's bad advertisement. God plays with fallen leaves and smiles at my dog, who wags his tail because it's Sunday. I have failed at faith, he says, and I remember the day I realized I was an atheist, and I tapped on the window for my dog to come inside. Well, my poems are usually very short, so I don't know if I will be able to do 20 minutes reading because I don't have so many poems in English. And I try to choose the ones that I consider that are like, people can hear this, because it's hard to write poems in your second language. So I hope you are understanding what I'm reading. This one is called It's Thanksgiving and I'm Not American. It's Thanksgiving and I'm not American. I have cooked turkey, mashed potatoes, collard greens, cranberry sauce, and stuffing. My husband has dressed up the house with fall colors and he's not American. A friend has come to share this rainy day and he's not American. The dog is staring at us, hoping to get some table food, and he's not American. We have toasted and remembered some old friends who are not American. We are thankful for having each other, and we are not American. I have Soraya asking me to do some poems in Spanish. I know I didn't have any Spanish poem ready. Maybe my helper can bring me something. Helper. This poem is the one I published that I think I shared with Derek in here, 4 lines. And I'm very happy about this poem because probably it's one of the longest I'm gonna read. I have read today, and it was very well received by the fall poem, by the fall lines jury, and it has to do with food that is super important in our culture. In my country, food is one of the most important things. It forms part of our daily life, and cooking and sharing food. So when I talk about the Spanish tortilla, it's kind of an omelette. It's not a tortilla like the Mexican tortilla or the tortillas you can have in other South American countries. So it's completely different. It's made with eggs, and I'll give you the recipe because this poem is a recipe and a poem, okay? Diaspora of a Spanish tortilla. Recipe and poem. 1. Ingredients for 4 people. 2 cups of Spanish extra virgin olive oil. 2 tablespoons of Spanish extra virgin olive oil. 1 pound of potatoes. 6 eggs. Salt. 2. My mother tells me it's time to go to bed before the 3 wise men come with the presents. I have cooked the tortilla for them, she says, and I think it's not fair I don't get to taste the mixture before being cooked. I close my eyes and I think about the smell of the potatoes and the eggs before jumping into bed. 3. Heat 2 cups of olive oil in a medium pan. Slowly fry the potatoes until beautiful golden brown. Drain the potatoes on a paper towel. 4. It's 1997, and I am an exchange student in Coventry, England. The first week, someone organizes a party at our house. I don't remember who. It wasn't me. Everyone brings something from their countries. I cook tortilla the same way my mother taught me. We eat, we drink, and we sing songs that we all know. 5. Beat the eggs in a bowl with 1 teaspoon of salt. Add the cooked potatoes to the beaten eggs and let stir for 1 minute. 6. Last night, I went early to bed, as my mother told me, and this morning, Melchior came to home with a present for me. It was the doll I wanted. Her tortilla has been really good this year. 7. Heat the remaining 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a 6-inch pan over high heat. Once the oil is hot, pour the egg potato mixture and reduce the heat to low. 8. Last week, I cooked a tortilla for lunch, and he smiled when he saw it. This is so good, he said. You are even better, I thought. 9. Once it begins to set and the edges turn golden brown, place a plate over the pan and flip the pan and the plate so the tortilla ends up on the plate and cook side down. 10. Wisconsin was cold, too cold for the southern Spaniard used to the sun and the scent of the Mediterranean. Some asked me to make a tortilla, but this time it didn't flip right. I had to go back to Spain. 11. Once the tortilla set, flip the tortilla again and transfer to a platter. Season with salt and cut into wedges to serve. 12. In 2006, my mother confessed that she never cooked the tortilla for the 3 wise men. I was so disappointed that I cried. I was 32. I was 32 and I cried. And I never stopped making tortillas. And this is the last one. I didn't have any Spanish poems prepared. I'm sorry. Hey, Derek. Unless my helpers bring me some Spanish poems. Hey, I think my helper is going to bring me some poems.
Dijo que sí, puedes leer en español.
Sí, pero tráeme el libro.
¿Cuál?
El Patriarcos. O el otro, los dos. I needed the helper to bring me the Thank you, guys. I'm gonna get my Spanish books so I can read some poems in Spanish. And now I won't be worried about my accent because I'm always thinking, are they understanding what I read? Thank you for your comments. Thank you, Joshua Lavender. Oh, I have Shannon here. Thank you. Nice to see you. Okay, this one. Thank you. Okay, so this was the first Spanish, my first book of poetry that I published. It was self-published on Amazon. And this was a really nice project because what I did is for 1 year, I wrote 1 poem every day. And at the beginning, it didn't start like that. It just started like, I want to try writing a poem. And I continued and I continued. And after 2 months, I was like, what about if I continue doing this for 1 year? And I did it. I started before coming here in 2003. And I finished it when I came here. So it's really nice to see how my life changed before coming to South Carolina. And then when I was here, how things were affecting me and how difficult life was at the beginning when you come here for the first time. And that's reflected in those poems. One of the ways that is reflected is that I was so tired when I go here and I started teaching that the poems were super short. I was not able to write long poems, like short, like 5, 6 verses, no more. But this poem have some poems that when I still read, I like them very much. So I'm gonna choose a couple, okay? This poem is called Your Student Harlem. And it has to do with the first time I visited Harlem and how impressed I was, because I had been studying a course on the name doesn't come to me right now, Harlem Renaissance poetry and some other writers, and I really wanted to go there and to get to know more about it. So I found some verses from Federico Garcia Lorca, who was in New York when he was super young, before he was killed. And I saw the connection, thinking, how did Lorca reacted the first time he saw Harlem, and how I saw it and how impressed I was, and I guess that he was too. So let's go with this one. Yo estuve en Harlem. Negros, negros, negros. Federico García Lorca, el rey de Harlem. Nací de la boca de metro, de parto natural. Mi madre nunca imaginó que llegaría tan lejos. Me llevaron hasta allí los ojos del poeta, los labios del músico de jazz a su ritmo y compás. Las calles de Harlem olían a comida del sur y sonaban a huidas del norte. Las calles de Harlem vestían con traje largo y pluma en el sombrero. Las calles de Harlem pedían a gritos que su rey nunca se hubiera marchado, que el poeta no hubiera muerto. I'm gonna choose another one until someone says that, oh, you have to stop, okay? The first thing I wrote for this poem, it was not exactly a poem for this, for this book. It was not exactly a poem. It was like a mixture of poem and super short story. Again, because I saw the news and I heard of this woman who was going to be evicted from her house, and she was so shocked by it, by the idea of losing her house, that she committed suicide. And it was a moment in which the crisis in Europe was striking really hard, and many people lost their houses, and this was affecting a lot of families. So I thought about the idea of this woman receiving the letter from the bank telling her that you're going to be evicted, and how she sees that her whole life is going to fall apart. La carta. Hace un mes que recibió la carta. El negro destino se cernía sobre ella y los suyos, pero no quiso decírselo a nadie. La vergüenza se apoderaba de ella, como si hubiera cometido el peor de los delitos, un asesinato, un parricidio, un maltrato. Con las manos temblorosas, guardó el papel reluciente en un cajón, con las facturas, las que estaban sin pagar, el agua, la luz y el teléfono. Volvió a la cocina y puso a cocer medio kilo de macarrones. Los acompañaría con una lata de tomate frito y salchichas. A su hijo y su marido les gustaba mucho, aunque lo comieran muy seguido. No solían protestar. Había tenido suerte con su hijo. Era estudioso y no le daba demasiados quebraderos de cabeza. Llegaron y se sentaron todos a la mesa a comer. Siempre hizo todo lo posible porque el almuerzo no dejara de ser un momento para estar juntos y comer el día. No había mucho que comentar. O sí, quizás no era el momento. O quizás sí. Hoy se había levantado e ido al banco para revisar asuntos del día. No quería entretenerse mucho. Tenía una comida familiar y no podía faltar a ella. Iban al restaurante favorito de su mujer, donde él podía comer el mejor solomillo de toda la ciudad. Entró por la puerta como cada mañana. Saludó a la interventora más cercana a su despacho y se enfrentó a unos documentos que le habían dejado en su mesa para firmar. Pensando en el solomillo, cogió el bolígrafo que le había regalado su hija por el Día del Padre y empezó a firmar. Documentos, papeles, impersonales, todos sin mayor interés. Un grupo de señores con traje vinieron a por algunos de los documentos y él se pudo dedicar a otras cosas menos anodinas. Hace un mes que recibió la carta. Seguía en el mismo cajón con las facturas sin pagar y la nota del último examen de inglés de su hijo. Se sentía muy orgullosa de él. Por la mañana, preparó el desayuno para su marido y le dio un beso antes de irse. Luego, preparó un bocadillo para que su hijo se lo llevara a clase y también se despidió de él con un beso en la frente. Recogió la cocina, limpió el cuarto de baño, hizo las camas, barrió, encendió la radio y se puso a recorrer la casa. De repente, sintió la necesidad de tocar los muebles, las fotos, el sofá, las mantas dobladas sobre el sillón. Parecía un día cualquiera. Probablemente lo fuera. Para mucha gente no era más que un viernes con ganas de que fuera sábado. Para ella era un viernes extraño, triste, incierto. Cogió una silla y la puso en la terraza. Siempre le pareció que molestaba tan cerca del sofá para ver la tele. Al instante, sonó el portero electrónico. No había quedado con nadie, pero alguien tenía algo que comunicarle. Se dirigió hasta la terraza, se asomó por el balcón, se subió a la silla y saltó al vacío. Después de revisar unos contratos, le llamó a su mujer para recordarle que habían quedado a las 12 para tomar un vermut, por si podía salir antes y unirse a ellos. Pensó que lo bueno de ser director de banco era que podía mandar sobre su horario. Se despidió de la interventora y salió por la puerta. Le dolía un poco la muñeca, seguramente a causa de pasarse la mañana estampando su firma. Hace un mes que recibió la carta. Esa carta decía que sus mantas ya no eran suyas, que el sofá ya no sería el mejor lugar de la casa, que la silla ya no estorbaría más. Quedaba igual que siguiera cocinando macarrones, porque era lo único que podía permitirse. Que había sido desahuciada. I need to see the chat and see how I'm doing. I read something. Okay, I think I did my 20 minutes. It's hard to read to me because I can really picture that woman thinking about how she's going to end with her life because she's going to lose her house. Whenever you're ready, Derek.
Hello, thank you so much to Loli. If you want to check out her books and some of the poems that she read, you can find those in the comment section below. So whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, you can go into the comments and find the links to those books. Our next reader, you may know him as Loli's Little Helper. He's also a poet in his own right. It is Jesús Redondo Menéndez. He was born and grew up in Spain and developed this love of books at a young age as tools for learning and really opening up his imagination. He graduated with psychology, so I'm sure he's going to delve into the inner workings of the mind. And in his 40s, he decided to move to the United States. He lives here in South Carolina. I say South Carolina because that's also where I am. And he is an educator. I really suggest following him on TikTok because whenever his students aren't in the room, he's always dancing around on TikTok and entertaining people. He enjoys writing poetry and short fiction, and he's also he did not include in his bio all the great places he's been published, but I do know he's been published in quite a few great spaces. And he lives with his wife, Loli, as well as their dog, Chomsky, which is such a good name for a dog. Okay, without further ado, let's bring on Jesus.
Thank you for bringing me to this opportunity to share what I write now and then. I was trying to figure out the order of the things that I was going to read, and I'm changing my mind like hundreds of times already. So, well, there is a kind of a logical order on the things that I'm going to read. It's kind of chronological sometimes. But I think I'm going to jump to the last one that I wrote, and then I will try to explain what comes next and why. The first thing that I'm going to read, I couldn't help but writing. It's very short. It's very short because it was like an impulse. When I knew that I was reading on this event and that Derek was going to be the host, I couldn't help but writing about one of my favorite shirts, that it happens to be one of his shirts, and I call it Squeezing a Verse. And there he goes, a dynamic explosion of creative bangs, a swag of jeans and bright lemons, squeezing verses like demons sliding down the darkness of his shirt, filling our hearts with something mellow, bringing light in the yellow shape of delicious fruits and citric flavor. I couldn't help but writing this poem when I remember that he has one shirt that is completely black and has these bright lemons on it, and I love it, and I love how he wears it, and it's something that I couldn't help but writing. As you may already figure out, my first language is not English, it's Spanish. So I apologize for the accent that could feel sometimes stronger than others. The first thing that I remember writing in English was, I don't know if it would be considered a poem, but a prayer. I was working in the first school that I started working here in the US. I was a pre-K instructional assistant, and well, it was my first experience into the education here in the United States. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from those little ones. So crazy, and it was very hard and challenging, though. You know, Title I schools, if you are not into the education, those are like the most challenging ones for many reasons. You try to figure them out, probably you're right with whatever it comes to your mind. And there was one little guy that I was really very close. He was kind of troublemaker, but he had this kind of smile that could melt icebergs. And well, we call it Jay all the time. Well, that was the first initial of his name. And there was a moment when social services came to school. I took him away, and we didn't know why. And we were asking around. There was no way we could know. Parents couldn't tell. The principal couldn't tell either. I never saw him again. I was so heartbroken that I tried to write something that could build that connection of how I felt, and trying to reach him out in a short way. So, well, there it goes. The title is I Pray for My Little Jay. I pray for my little Jay. I'm not of the believing kind, but let me say, just in case, I pray for my little Jay. I hope you'll find the shine, and you'll get whatever child deserves: love, care, health, and a little respect. I hope no more anger will tear your future apart. And the sunny days will finally come. And I hope you'll keep that smile in your face that melts together heaven and hell, to open all the doors that were closed to you till this day. I'm just a little man, not exactly of the believing kind, but let me say, just in case, I pray for my little Jay. Those were very difficult times. That first year that I arrived, I never was in the case of not having a job. I was unemployed. I arrived with Loli, my wife. She was the one who came with a job offer, and I was staying home all the time till I got this job. And I was really excited at first, and I was excited later too, but every day was like taking its toll. I had to pay a price for whatever I had to accomplish, and it was so hard that I had to find those moments and places that could give me some peace of mind and some rest. And it used to be like forests, trails, all kind of natural outdoors environments. Those were the ones that could give me some kind of relief of all the unrest that I was like getting every day. So you can't help getting some kind of mystical feeling sometimes when you are by yourself in those environments with Chomsky. Well, never by myself, always with my little dog. So I wrote this that's super short, but it's like this kind of moment that everything intersects. And well, this is the title: A Belonging Recipe, a Bit of Matter, Time, and Self. I sat on the wooden bench in front of the river. Couldn't help but crying and gasping. Overwhelmed by everything. By overall, the daunting sense of belonging to the just intersection of that moment, that place, and my most intimate and inner self. As I said, there were these kind of moments in our lives that, you are accomplishing stuff and you are making your dreams come true sometimes. Sometimes you are not getting that close to it. And sometimes is one of us the one that is feeling like kind of low. And the other one is the one that has to like bring some kind of joy and trying to brighten up. And I wrote this poem in one of those moments when we were shifting from one place to the other. And it's called Bay of Dreams. Bay of Dreams. There is a picture I often like to revisit and truly enjoy to see. One with my little dog watching us at the beach, with his defenseless back pointing to the sea. I call it Bay of Dreams because we always pictured our hopes somewhere overseas, in a sort of secret place where you could find them, guarded by him, bathed and soothed by the lullaby of the ocean beams. But as it happens in every dream, there are moments when the bay turns into a tree, and we and our hopes are together, embraced by its leaves. There is an uneasy sense of uncertainty coloring the scene. and we can see the cloud that announces the storm, and we can feel the strong and chilly wind as see the stars shaking the tree. And we see our hopes falling to the ground as the cloud darkens and the wind blows, as the leaves fly, as our fear grows. And we hold to each other, and to myself I keep how much I would like to believe that there is some purpose above us that is shaking the tree. This poem is like a jump to the future. It happened like a year and a half ago, teaching my new school that I totally love. Just in case somebody's watching this, I totally love my school. And there was this moment when there is this kind of confusion with the identity. You know that sometimes it happens a lot to us, people from Hispanic background. People can't really figure us out. It's like they are exposed to certain roles or kinds of people, and they can really, and they really feel the urge to know who you are, and they try to classify you, and you resist, and that struggle was exemplified by this that happened to me that time. And to put more confusion into it, I call it the people, and you will see why it's so confusing. My people. My people dare me to play kickball, so I told my people I didn't know the game. My people raised eyebrows because it seems that my people seem to know. My people don't know that my people still blame me for what happened, for what my people did 500 years ago, while my people celebrate old-fashioned speeches and parades. My people know my name when I ask to close the check, while my people keeps reminding me that I am just another guy from 10 miles away. My people invite me to parties, bridal and baby showers, after work meetings, poetry readings, and jazz. Well, I know about my people's lives on Facebook or Instagram. My people ask me if I want to stay, and my contract waits to be signed on my desk, while my people keep asking me when I'll go back home, how long I'm gonna be away. My people 1 year ago, 30 degrees morning and short sleeve, had to show their best behavior to come to Espanol. But my people yesterday, last class of the week, didn't care that much at all. And today my people are here in this live event, listening to my words. Thank you for your patience, my people. So as you can see, there are moments that are harder than others, and those moments are the ones that are pushing you to write and to create and to do something with your pain and your struggle. Because if you don't do that, it's like probably you get crazier than this. Because reading poetry on a Facebook live event or YouTube event or whatever it is, it's kind of crazy. But here we are. Things that sometimes are harder, but there is always somebody in your life that makes things easier. And in my case, that's my wife, Loli. You could see that how wonderful she is, and you don't even know the tip of the iceberg. She's amazing, and she makes things easy. easy to me the most of the times. And that's the name of this poem. You make it easy. There are some days, I have to say it, I don't want to leave my bed because there lays everything that makes me feel safe. The woman that leads my boat, the pet that watches my footsteps. Life can be wonderful. You often can hear me say. Sometimes a little bitchy, that I keep to myself. But every morning I walk to the mirror, tying my tie, reminding to myself who I am. A person that may stumble and fall, but always stands up. That may need to try 1,000 times, but never gives up. Those and many more are the things that make me who I am. And there's no day I don't wonder where you get your strength from. How can you have such a clear mind to target all of our goals? I don't mind confessing something that I truly enjoy. I'm still figuring you out because from all that breathes in this world, you amaze me the most. And I think to myself that I don't care whatever it takes. I don't need to know what it is. It doesn't matter the pain because you, girl, you make it easy. And I want to try to read, if everything is okay, and I guess that it is because it was before, a few poems in Spanish. That is my mother language. And well, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, so I guess that it's gonna be okay. 2 months ago, I started collaborating with one cultural magazine that is called Voces, that means voices. And this was the poem that I sent first. It's called Camino de 7 años. And it talks of this journey that has been my life here in the US, that is going from 6 to 7 years already. And well, I'm gonna read it. I hope that many people can understand what I say, and if you don't, I really encourage you to try to learn some Spanish. I'm a Spanish teacher, and I need as many people as I can get to make a living of it. So there it goes. Camino de 7 años. Camino de 7 años que tejen paso entre los puntos irregulares de mi vieja manta de parches de lana. Parcelas más o menos cuadradas donde reposan sueños más o menos frustrados, atesorando resiliencia. Resiliencia y paciencia, que es la madre de la ciencia, para no dejar que la insoportable fricción, que es la vida, se lleve aquel destello que nos hizo diferentes y por ende necesarios. En el televisor, un documental sobre colonos de una tierra que nadie sabe dónde está. En la mesa, café, zumo de naranja y sobre plato pequeño la tosta de pan. Inclino visiblemente la solapa del sombrero que no cubre mi cabeza y saludo a los pequeños confortes. Atrás dejé una tierra demasiado vieja, demasiado seca para brindar una gota de amor a sus retoños. En sus grietas solo hay hueco para los chupasangres de las patrias. que brindan a nuestra enfermedad. Susto o muerte. Nadie sobra en este mundo y, por consiguiente, lo mismo en un país como este, pero la lluvia sigue cayendo sobre la tierra resbaladiza y es difícil mantenerse en pie. En el televisor, los colonos dibujan líneas sin sentido que serán las cancelas para los que vendrán después. Se alisa el pelo este que escribe y armándose de sonrisa, respira y prosigue. No hay camino que no sea un viaje a través de la niebla, que no sea un compromiso entre aprendizaje y pérdida, viaje de roces y caídas, algunas victorias e incontables heridas. Heridas que primero abren y sangran y entonces coagulan y más tarde, quizás, sanan. Las estaciones siguen mordiendo la ausencia de suelas de los que cruzan la tierra de norte a sur en la pantalla del televisor, mientras alguien cubre su calva de buen señor calzándose una gorra encarnada. Ese coágulo de la herida que se llama memoria, testimonio en el pellejo de las cosas vividas, pero que todos ignoran. Nuestros ojos siguen prendidos de los anzuelos de luz de las pantallas. Son casi 7 años ya de caminar por estas tierras lejanas y demasiados jirones pueblan los parches de nuestras mantas. En el televisor sigue nevando y a pesar del calor que azota las Carolinas este verano, el frío se hace hueco, muerde y de vez en cuando temblamos. Y ya para terminar, quería leer un poema que se me ocurrió con la visita. Oh, sorry. This is what happens when you switch from one language to another. It happens to me all the time when I have to help some people out in my school. They always call me to translate to parents and make some phone calls, translate some documents for custodians that they are not really fluent in English. So I start speaking English to the Spanish speakers and the opposite to the other. I'm a mess. So this poem is called Indeterminate. Well, undefined would be like the right translation, because you are determined to do stuff, but you never know when you can start doing something about it. En español, indeterminado. Indeterminado, del latín indeterminatus, cuarta acepción del diccionario, que hace referencia a entidades no identificables por los interlocutores. Me han visitado del censo de los Estados Unidos y no exagero si digo que no tengo claro cuál ha sido el resultado. Quizás convenga dejarlo como algo indeterminado. Hispano o caucásico, latino o blanco. Defínete, insensato. Por todos y todas he sabido la desconfianza que produce la ausencia del etiquetado. Mas nuestra propia existencia es un desafío a esas barreras que pretenden dibujar puertas en el campo. El simple hecho de que todos y todas somos puritos mestizos y mestizas, ciudadanos y ciudadanas de un curso indeterminadamente ilegal. Llevamos en nuestra sangre a partes iguales las gotas de fenicios, griegos, romanos, incas, mayas, aztecas, normandos, sajones o anglos. Nos piden separar aquello que precisamente nos nace hermanos. Por eso me resisto. Me resisto a decantarme y así me determino a definirme indeterminado. Como el medio o largo plazo de mi estancia por estos lares. Como los bares pendientes de visitar en cada excursión, cada viaje, cada proyecto imaginado, indeterminado, siempre con esa zona de sombra, al lado de todos los planes, paradas establecidas, visitas inexcusables, compromisos ineludibles, insiste en su presencia el refugio de lo indeterminado. No saber por cuánto tiempo prolongarás tu estancia. Si la intermitencia de tus viajes volverá a responder a tu voluntad. ¿O acaso la provisionalidad presida todo desde ahora? La futilidad de los planes o proyectos. En efecto, todo queda detenido, estático. La visita a tu padre, pendiente de un acto político, de un diagnóstico médico, de un trámite burocrático, de un salto al vacío que cruce voluntario y decidido este limbo indeterminado.
Dice Dede que continúe porque se le ha muerto el ordenador y está reiniciando.
Okay, so I guess that I must continue.
Dice Pac. Pregúntale.
So I don't know how are we of time. I guess that was good. Derek, are you back? Okay.
Hey, I'm back. Thank you so much, Jesus.
You're welcome.
Sorry, for a moment, my computer died. We're back, and we're going on to our final reader of the evening. I'm super psyched to bring on board Danny Solis. I unfortunately have not been able to meet Danny in person, but in the last few days, my co-curator, Kimberly Sims-Gibbs, has told me a lot about him. Now that he was part of the Asheville Poetry Slam team back in the day. Is that true? Yes. Back doing the National Poetry Slam. If y'all don't know what the National Poetry Slam is, look into it. It is one of the most incredible gatherings of poets from not only around the country, but from around the world. Let me tell you a little bit about Danny Solis. Right now he's in Rochester, Minnesota, but he was born in Dallas, Texas, and he wrote his first poem at age of 5. He's a poet, he's an educator, he's a musician, he's an MC, and he is most importantly, a father. He has done an incredible amount of work in the poetry world. He has taught workshops all over the place in every single one of the lower 48 states, Canada, Africa, Asia, Europe. He was part of a slam championship poetry slam team twice, once from Boston and once from Asheville. And he was the co-founder of the Rochester Art Ensemble, which is an interdisciplinary collective that seeks to combine different art forms into new, exciting ways. He also served as the director of the Day of the Dead Poet Slam, which is a cross-cultural community festival featuring traditional and modern elements of poetry, visual arts, music, dance, and Dia de los Muertos. He is someone who has both done an incredible amount of work in the poetry world and is an incredible poet. Without further ado, let's bring to the stage, put your hands together wherever you are, if you're on a bus, if you're in the middle of nowhere, Danny Solis!
Had to unmute myself. Hello. Hi, everyone. It's Solis, by the way. That's okay. Don't worry about it, Derek. But first, I want to say thank you to everyone, but especially Jesus and Loli. My God, y'all are so amazing! Such an honor to be reading with you this evening or anytime, really, anywhere. That is just so incredible. Y'all are wonderful, and how have I not heard of y'all? I loved what y'all did, and can't even begin to tell you, Loli, the poor Wall Street men, those poor fucking Wall Street men. Jesus Christ, can anybody help them? Yeah. Oh my God, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. And Jesus, especially the Bay of Dreams. And of course, you're right about lemons, right? We're Latino, we're Chicano, we're Hispano. We're going to write about lemons somewhere in there. You know, Neruda and his lemons, Lorca. Yeah, all that. It's wonderful. I want to start with a few haiku if I can. I guess I should look at the time. When did I start? I'll write it down because you can think that you know, but then you forget. Or I do. Let me put it that way. I do. I could have just listened to the two of you and not read at all tonight. Just enjoyed what y'all were doing. Here's a couple of haiku to get started. Gray sky, one crow wings low, sudden onyx, silent bred in his black beak. Looking at problems, it's easy to forget the dawn's bright orange flag. Lemon yellow light. Finches drink from sunflower. Shaggy saucer of dew. So, you know, Jesus, when you were talking about your set list and the order and how it keeps changing, that happens, man. I was like listening to y'all and I was like, okay, all my poems suck. I got to write some new ones if I can real fast. But also just, you know, I'm like, okay, I can't do that. So I had to try to figure out, you know, what my order was going to be and all this kind of thing. So, yeah, you think you know what it's going to be, and then something happens. And no, that's not what you're doing. Okay, I know that there's a poem here somewhere I want to read. Oh, and Chomsky the dog. I want to see Chomsky the dog. I want to see this Chomsky. I think all of America wants to see Chomsky the dog. I think I can speak safely and with conviction for everyone on this feed. We would love to see Chomsky at some point. Before we get there, this is something I wrote right at the start of the pandemic, and it was before all the rumors of, oh, Chomsky the dog. Oh, I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Chomsky the dog. A big round of applause for Chomsky. Chomsky, he's waving. He's like, leave me alone, paparazzi. I just want treats and cuddling. I hate all of you people. So here's, oh, why do they let me do this? This is something I wrote right around the beginning of the pandemic, before all the rumor about the bat and all this stuff. And it's about an actual dream. I feel a lot lucky. A lot of times my dreams, I can use them and put them into poems. Anyway, this poem. I dreamt a bat last night. Fruit bat, fox bat, huge luminous eyes, twin moons, liquescent onyx orbs, pulling in, transforming, and returning the available light, amplified waves of particles cresting and ebbing as he slowly blinked. Shadow, light, shadow, light. Hanging upside down, he was in the rosebush in my parents' yard, the house on Lemon Avenue, a bit player, backup singer in this dream, starring bat black, brown, big as a beagle, as he opened his bright planets to consider me and the child by my side, now urgent and frightened that this bat was clearly considering us. close enough to touch, solemn, full of portent, wonder, and wisdom. He pushed away from his cave of yellow roses, taking wing right towards us, dipping a bit, causing us to crouch and one of us to scream. Which one I couldn't tell, though I trust in most children to be braver than me. And we turned to watch as he looped slowly over the busy one-way street, catching wind, flapping slowly as he shook and stretched his hot machinery of flight. And he floated casually, skimming the treetops as they filled with shadow down the hill towards Turtle Creek, green eddy, slow moving clop and thrum of frog and insect, claves and woodblock, sonic shimmer, and we stood silently, holding hands, watching him drift into deepening dusk. So, you know, the other thing that Jesus and Loli did really well was y'all were just, you know, you didn't need the feedback of the audience to be energetic and do your poems really, really well, and that was wonderful. That was wonderful. Also, I just want to say, you know, fuck English. I mean, I say that in English, but I mean it. The tyranny of English in this country is ridiculous. It's absurd, you know? And I mean, people will make you feel weird for having an accent or looking different or whatever. And you're trying to just do your thing and get through life. And then they're like, where are you from? Where are you from? And so anyway, fuck the tyranny of English, I have to say. I could go on and on, but I need to do poems as a poetry reading, not just me ranting on the whatever kind of platform we're on. Yeah, I'm going to do this poem. And this is a poem, and it's about being a person of color, being a Mexicano, but it's for Black people. And I think this poem is for women, and it's also for, you know, LGBTQ people. I think although everybody who's been made to feel weird because they're different in any way or in danger even. And it's called Learn. Learn to become invisible. Learn to cultivate various forms and degrees of invisibility. Learn to feign joy or at least contentment. Learn the stillness of cryptic locomotion, the heart of which is filled with pistons and gears, crankshafts, pulleys, levers, and steam. Learn the stillness at the center of stillness. Learn to be pleasant and affable as you watch a friend be hanged or burned or slowly bled to death. Learn to walk backwards while bowing. Learn to walk backwards while bowing, while making soothing, fluttering motions of subservience with your hands. Learn to do these things while muttering endless streams of pleasant, improvised apologies. Learn to elicit laughter at your own expense. Learn the pratfall. Learn to make yourself small, smaller. Learn instant smallness. Learn to disappear in the shadow of a matchstick. Learn to construct and perform intricate operas in the background. Learn to be the background. Learn operatic silence. Learn the various dialects of ingratiation. Learn that they will keep changing. Learn to sense the beast before it appears. Learn its many forms. Learn the map of its teeth, the pink glisten of its gums. See the slivers of your ancestors lodged there, a rope of tendon, a flap of flesh. Learn the names and the hows. Memorize them with the language of your bones. Learn that there is no why that can be reconciled to reason. Learn to make what is yours theirs. Or not. Learn instead your own song, your own voice. That is a mountain of light. Song that is an ocean of songs. ocean that will flow over them even as they open their mouths to speak of their invincibility. Watch them disappear. Go back, find the match, find all the matches. Take by the hand everyone who learned to disappear in the match's shadow. Strike all the matches together. Learn the language of flames. Go, gather the memories of your ancestors. Take back their pieces from the broken beast. Hold them to you. Weep, weep, till your only breath is the breaking and shuddering of your sobs. Stitch this into your song. Rise up with the terrible beauty of your new voice. Arrive suddenly with the light that blinds them. Arrive suddenly with a song that breaks them. Learn that this is who you were, always. Learn that this is who you are, who you will always be. Learn that your song will illuminate the way for a multitude of dreams. Learn that you will have no place or need to hide. Learn that never again will you have to feign joy. That's called Learn. That's for all my peoples out there who have been othered for various reasons. Othered. Other as a verb. I guess I should look at my set list. All right. Gotta take a drink here. Oh, and vote. I'm gonna say vote. 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 Am I breaking the rules yet, Derek? I'm not reading the comments. It's not gonna work. You'd have to just butt in and yell at me if I'm doing something wrong. I think I want to read something about my son. I said, most importantly, a father, and this is a long one. It could use a little editing, but so be it. I'm just going to read it. It's from a few years ago. He is 4.5, wonder of wonders, a real live boy, my son, stronger than he knows, bigger than the more coordinated 6-year-olds on the playground. While I, in my 50s now, feel reduced, littler, leaner than before. I wonder if there is a reciprocal mathematics at work. The bigger he gets, the smaller I become, so that according to some irrevocable equation, we will pass each other on the growing, shrinking spectrum. He becoming ever bigger and stronger, while I continue my journey towards Rumpelstiltskin-osity. Almost as though some crypto-biological process is at work, removing the muscle and bone from my frame and adding it to his. And this thought, while disturbing, still seems reasonable somehow. And of course, I would give anything for this shining boy, tumbling miracle, galloping cub, towering list of reasons for joy. I am sitting on a bench with friends in the slanting New Mexican sunlight, watching our children cavort and sputter, frolic, bargain, and gamble. He's getting so big, and I think, yes, he is. And I seem to be shrinking. They laugh at my honest response, which leads me to contemplate how life will be when he is 6'4" and I am 4'6", if that. A tiny withered fig of a man, haranguing the populace, more sure than ever that I am right about whatever is at hand, being discussed in a flux of emergency. And I see my future self looking up at my boy, him who once fit on a pillow, now well over 200 pounds, bearded, voice like a log drum. I tell my friends, it would be nice if he carried me when I got old and shrunken. But, in one of those Baby Bjorn baby carriers that you can strap onto your torso, they chuckle. I imagine being high in the air on his broad back, carrot legs dangling, ornery as ever, getting into an argument with some guy in a gimme cap in line at the grocery store. Hey, mister, I see you got 15 items. This is the 12 items or less line. See the sign, tough guy? Me and Gimme Cap guy exchange unpleasantries till my son turns around to stare down at the guy in his silent surprise. Hey, don't worry about it. My dad enjoys lively conversation. That's all. Despite these reassurances, Gimme Cap guy departs for another checkout line, and I hoot after him, "Run, fool, run!" Well, my boy sighs. The children ramble up in a loose herd for water and snacks. "Hey, son," I begin, "when I'm a little old man, will you carry me around in a Baby Bjorn backpack like an overgrown baby, on walks and such?" This is a question that gives him and the group pause. My son is stopped, and his 4-year-old brow is concentration furrowed as his young brain whirs with the possibilities. People now are genuinely interested in the gestating answer. He inhales, focuses on me, and begins. "No," he says, with his R's unfolding as W's. "I'm going to carry you around in a suitcase." He barks, playground volume and energy. "And then I'm going to take you up in an airplane and roll down the window and throw you out so you can show me what you got." Amidst the laughs, I very seriously contemplate his words. I know I couldn't blame him if he did just what he said, especially considering my penchant for making it seem that I am the one that can handle any situation. Why not put my attitude of uber competency to the test? And I make a note, a mental note to myself for future survival. In old age, always wear a parachute. Okay, I wrote my time down somewhere, 7:07. All right. I got about 3 minutes left. I got one more poem to do. It's a long one. I'm going to do all the parts. I hope it's okay. I might go a couple of minutes over 20 minutes. And this I wrote because I had to write it, and it's a poem in sections. But the sections quit being numbered at some point. Some of the numbers are missing on purpose. It's a form thing because people, they read these poems and it's like section 1 and, etc. Or they just say 1 and then blah, 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 2, blah, blah, blah. So this is a kind of, I wanted to buck that form. I wanted to use it, but I wanted to mess with it a little bit. And this is in response to everything. Mostly the uprisings. This is called Litany. Fragment 1. Welcome to a girl waking with a mouthful of blood. Prayer book of gritted sleep. Fingers to lips, considering blood maps. Ancient litany of loss and need and movement. Fragment 2. A woman remembers the girl and the blood. Salt and metal. Considers random absence of a tooth. Tongue pushed into empty. Fragment 3. This is the map of darkness, of darknesses, sextant of shadows to navigate this absence of light, a packet of invisible tattoos and diagrams to be used accordingly. Fragment 11. Things have gone missing, gone in the normal tangle and crush of minutia, wave after wave of slowness. Oh, for the drama of leviathans, operatic combat and lavish exits. What endures is steadily caught between thumb and forefingers, a casual erosion, fluttering book, wings of forgetting and loss. Fragment 13. A woman sits on a balcony. Of course she does. She plays a conga. It is a fountain of brightness. She smokes a cigar. In the smoke there are maps and hieroglyphs. She laughs at the idea that I could tell her story. Of course she does. Fragment 13. Ponder the woman again. All the maps are lost. There is a song that escapes memory. Fragment of shadow. Lluvia de sombras, sonrisa nublado, un baile pequeño, tambor azul, buscando momentos de agua verde, agua azul, agua pa'l sed de la alma, buscando milagros of laughter, like bright flowers, garden of breaths caught and released back into a river of possibilities. Fragment of blue. On the edges of black, a persistent and encroaching blue. Blue bleed black and black to blue. Slow hands of dusk weaving the shadows down to the bright horizon, the black of the darkness, this halo of blue, jagged outline of every smashed window. A mother's mouth flung wide to mourn. Sedimentary blue, foundational blue, intrinsic blue, generational blue, endemic blue, inherent blue, bone deep blue, integral molecular blue, a packet of as yet undiscovered blues to be used accordingly. Fragment of green. Hear the green river, hear the wailing, hear the waiting, hear the hammering of blues, hear the flight of hope, hear the capture, the waiting, the cages, the mesh, the metal, the cages, the bars, the doors, the cages, the glass window veined with wire, the cages, hear the litany of escape, hear the strategies, hear the rough sketches of hope, hear the preliminary diagrams of sleight of hand. There is a moment of inattention. Here is the path to an opening. Here is a way to breathe. Hear the river, the blue dusk, the green river. Let us cross together. Fragment of song. The woman teaches fire breathing, each breath a lesson in burning, each lesson a song, each song a push back on that which would steal our breath, each breath a spell to cast up the darkness, blue-black magic, spinning darkness filled with stars to be used accordingly. Fragment of shard. And the grief closed around her like the fist of a giant, hideous, implacable. It did not know she was a shard of flame, sharpened on stone, whetted with water, taught in fire to cut, to burn through any darkness. All this time. Fragment of ancient machinery forgotten till just now. Pulleys and levers and bones, bulbs and switches and blood, wires and bamboo and hope, uncut stone full of dreams, the gathered materials of deconstruction, all the great lessons, comprehension of the complex, necessarily unavoidable to come here, at the ends of all the available maps, on this shore, right here, and all these children chanting, we are here, we are here. We have learned the lesson you suffered so much to teach us. You were taught to make fire. We are the flames themselves. Look what you have wrought. This was the destination of the blood hieroglyphs on fingers in the middle of those nights. It was a map to here, right here. We will not let you squander us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Derek. I hope Kimberly didn't tell you too much about me. If she had, you probably would have canceled me and gotten a last-minute replacement. Thanks to everyone for watching and listening. I have a Venmo if you'd like to kick in a little cashola. I go from the spiritual to the monetary. It's got to be done. Being a poet ain't easy. Derek, please stop me before I kill again. I mean, before I keep talking. Did I say that out loud?
Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in for our 3 really incredible poets. This video is going to continue onwards. One of the best things you can do to support these poets, one, first of all, make sure to give them your gratitude in the form of money. If we were at a poetry reading right now, we'd be passing a hat around so these poets could buy some gas, beer, and everything else that they might need. And you can also share their work online. You can share their work with your friends. I know for me, when I want to find a new poet, if someone comes to me and says oh my gosh, have you heard this person? You have to watch this video. You have to read this book. You have to read this poem. You have to watch this poem. You have to look at this interview. That is what, sets me on fire to want to engage with those poets, because poetry can really change our lives. It can change the way that we look at the world. I think a lot about how poetry changes the way that we engage with the world. It's a kind of prayer. It's a kind of meditation. It's kind of mediation with the world in which we inhabit. thank you so much. We do this every Thursday. So if this is your first time and you're like, oh my gosh, I have been missing doing regular poetry readings, you can grab a beer, a glass of wine, a water, a soda, whatever your fancy is. If you're in a legal state, do whatever you need to do. And tune in. Next week, we're continuing. We're doing a series. So from September 15th to October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month. So we're trying to honor that by bringing in some really incredible poets. Next week on October 8th, Kimberly Sims Gibbs is going to be curating and hosting. She's bringing in the poets Leslie Sains, Santiago Garcia Castellon, and Clinia Safi. Some incredible poets. Make sure to tune in. If you like the Carolina Facebook page, that's the best way to learn about upcoming events and what we're doing. Thank you. Good night. Stay safe.